Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lee Snyder Stadium. We've traded up a grade. We're now ready for the 5th grade, and I've got a brand new voice in the booth. We'd like to welcome Coach Lauren Montgomery. Thanks again for coming back.
It's always a pleasure. I look forward to this every year. We love having this at Bixby.
Well, the TYAA Bulldogs take on, I'm going to call them your Bixby Spartans because you're the head football coach here. What do you look for from the Bixby team?
Well, the returning champions looking for very physical play led by Cord Nolan. Got Jackson Allen at quarterback. Just a veteran team that's been dominating all their opponents so far this year. And they saw this bunch earlier on in a scrimmage. Taking a look on the championship game recaps. 2nd grade, Broken Arrow, Collinsville. 3rd grade, Bartlesville, Stillwater. In the 4th grade level, had a doozy with Broken Arrow and Jinx there. Jinx coming out on top. And then looking forward to this TYAA versus Bixby Red matchup. And then the 2 final games, the 6th grade and 7th grade games. We got Sequoia versus Grove, and our 7th grade, Jinx versus Bixby Nightcap.
Now we'll go down on the field to Elise Wade.
For the last 4 years, this exact same team of boys for Bixby has made it to the championships, and they're pretty excited. But TYAA has also been making it consecutively too. Both teams have had about the same number of trips here and wins. What's going to come of this game, I don't know, but there's certainly a lot of talk around the stadium, and we'll wait to find out.
Thanks to Elise. We'll be back with more right after this from Dick's Sporting Goods.
We're America's #1 sporting goods store, and we're always open. Every season starts at Dix.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, back to Lee Snyder Stadium, back for 5th grade football. As we talked about in the opening, a new man in the booth. Coach Montgomery, welcome back.
Got a brisk fall day, but excited to be out here at Lee Snyder Field as usual for our INFC championships. And this one right here proves to be an excellent matchup. Last year's champion with Bixby Red against this TYAA Blue team. 2 very, very good teams heading into this championship matchup, Don.
Well, as the coin toss would indicate, the Bixby Spartans have elected to receive the opening kickoff. I'm trying to set the number for the Bulldog kicker, and that's number 72. And as luck would have it, the rosters that we were given by both teams are not in numerical order, so we'll do the best we can. The kickoff is underway. Spartans will field it with the Bearcats. Number 51 will pull it in, and that's
going to be offside.
Del Hunte.
Looks like we're going to get to try that one again. Got some nerves going on. Had a little bit of offsides there on the kickoff team, and so we're going to back them up 5 yards, and we're going to try that again, Don.
Well, that's a bonus. Anytime your receiving team can advance down the way a little bit, with a penalty, so now they may look to put the return on rather than just the fair catch.
Yeah, the kicking game always comes into play in these games. You got field position always being a big issue right there, and you got the line drive kick.
That's Jackson Allen with he fielded the kick. He'll bring it all the way out to about the 35-yard line, and we'll look at some of the starting lineups for Justin Allen's Bixby Spartans. Kate Blankenship, Connor Martin, Jackson Allen. Go to Cord Nolan, as Coach has already highlighted.
Yep.
Alex Sorley and Luke Korf.
Got a lot of good guys up there, and then the TYAA Bulldog, you got Coach Washington and a veteran crew coming out, and looks like running that patented TYAA 5-3 defense right there. And right there, Bowden Williams, very talented athlete on the run.
Well, anytime you can open the ball game out with a 6-yard carry, you know that your offensive line's doing a good job. The Spartans will kind of go in a little bit of a hurry, but you get 6 on first down, it's easy to call play 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And right there, head coach Justin Allen calling the plays. His son, number 5, Jackson Allen, who received that opening kickoff, the signal caller today. And see Jackson putting in a lot of time, not only in spa in the summer out here, out on Sundays, getting some extra throwing out on the field. And it looks like that handoff goes to Williams as well.
Trying to highlight one of the tacklers. That's big number 98 for the Bulldogs. That's Jay Oates, who came down from his defensive tackle spot to make the stop on the play. But the Tigers, I know I call broken arrow so often it's hard to forget it, but that's not the Tigers with a first down. That's the Spartans with a first down. 2 plays and a first down.
Very methodical runs there over the right side. I like the patience right here so far from the Bixby offense. And they elect to come back here with a counter play. Excellent run right there between the tackles. Another 4-yard pickup, and I know Coach Allen very well, and he's going to be patient, and then he'll probably hit him with a deep shot here soon.
One of the best things for the coaching standpoint when you're patient like that, especially in youth football, the quarters aren't that long anyway. They're only 8 minutes. If you can keep that clock running and then score on that particular drive, Richard and I talked about it, staying ahead of the chains and avoiding turnovers.
And we got a full house backfield right here with 2 backs right here and running the cross buck action right there. Great looking football play. Handed off right there to Gabe Blankenship. His older brother is one of our 9th grade football players, Zach Blankenship, and it's just a family of very talented running backs, very talented athletes, and world-class wrestlers.
Anthony Chaplin, that is, on the tackle for the Bulldogs.
That Bulldog defense is stiff right here, and they're bend but don't break, as you see right here in this situation. And I believe that's Bowden Williams again with the carry up inside the tackles, pounding away. He's got a physical running style.
Yeah, he took it to the right side, got about right there even with the offensive tackle and put that foot in the ground, Coach, and then went north and south, as I know you teach on the high school level and the youth coaches as well.
Yeah, when you start to get here in this 5th grade level, you know, a lot of times at the younger levels you see the teams having success with the fastest guy that can just simply run to the edge. Here it's very, very important that you stick your foot in the ground and get vertical in between the tackles. Once again, Bowden Williams over that right side. He's getting some great blocking from his offensive line, weaving in. And I think we're going to get our first touchdown of the day right here out of the Bixby Red, and that's Bowden Williams.
Patience. That's to compare him to someone on the pro level. That was almost Le'Veon Bell-esque, as he just kind of slow played it, let some blocks develop. Now he sets the foot, comes back inside now. Slow down a little bit more and get another block, and he put it in the end zone.
Yeah, just seeing some really good blocking up front, some really physical play, and that right side of the line right there doing such a good job. You see Noah McCurley from his guard position running his feet, finishing blocks.
And for the first time in the afternoon, we see a team that actually tries the point after via the foot, and they'll knock it through there. I think that's number 38, Graham Knight.
And Don, can you explain for our viewers out there what the 2-point conversion, the kick versus run, and in the INFC is?
An INFC football all the way up from 1st grade all the way through 7th grade. If you kick it, you're going to earn 2 points, because we've always felt like that the degree of difficulty with the snap, the hold, and the kick is a little bit greater than if you can run it in. So I know it's completely opposite from normal football. But in an INFC, if you kick it, you get 2. Any kind of run or pass, and it's just 1, Coach.
Well, that makes sense to me. There are a lot of variables on kicking an extra point or kicking a field goal. As you mentioned, the snapper, the holder, and really becomes quite an advantage at this age if you can kick it in to get the 2 points every time so easily.
Well, absolutely, because now if your opponent can't kick extra points, let's say, and we see that a lot, where one team has a young man that's pretty talented at it and the other team doesn't have that, then all of a sudden you're 2 scores behind, because if let's say TYAA scores and they can't kick the extra point and they just run it in, they're still a point down. The kick will roll all the way inside the 10-yard line. Now we pick it up, and he probably should have let it roll in the end zone, but he'll return it out to the 20. Still on his feet out to about the 22-yard line. It looked like that might be number 9.
Yeah, I think his jersey's wrinkled up, but I think that may be number 7, Caden Jackson. And a very good return right there, and the Bulldogs going ahead and starting off with good field position.
Jackson on the return, as Coach talked about. He'll bring it out to about the 23-yard line. So for the first time this afternoon, we will actually see the Bulldogs on offense. And the Spartans will set up.
Big Corey Scott, one of the big blockers inside right here for the Bulldogs. Very athletic, very physical blocker. Anxious to see how he holds up here against this stout Bixby Red defense.
Joe Peters and company on that tackle. Peters was one of the linebackers on the play. He wasn't touched, so he penetrates behind the line of scrimmage and makes a nice play.
It looks like that was Michaela Washington there on the carry right there in between the tackles, and not a lot of space, but still picked up positive yards. And I know the coaches always talk about not having negative plays, not getting behind the chains, and so this still puts them in favorable position, because a lot of times in these championship games, coaches are going to use all 4 downs.
Absolutely, and sometimes as long as you don't turn it over, you just hit that big play every so often.
Very good run right there. It looks like to the fullback right there, Micaiah Washington again. Barry Switzer would be proud right there with that wishbone formation.
You know, he made a...
3rd down and 3.
I almost said he made a lot of money with it, but I guess you can't say that about college football, but it springboarded him on to the Dallas Cowboys, but he certainly got a whole lot of wins running simple running plays maybe.
Well, you know, he always said that 3 things that can happen when you throw the ball, and 2 of them aren't good. And so sounds like the TYAA Bulldogs are going to be sticking to that same philosophy right here, handing the ball off to their talented athletes. And you'll see just a host of Bixby Red Spartans in there, right there, led by Cord Nolan from his middle linebacker position, just a standout. You know, it's amazing when you see a kid, you know, even at this high level on Championship Saturday, that stands out at that level as being fast and physical and understanding the game.
Well, when you talk about the Bulldogs running the wishbone, you'll know better than I do that the object of the defense is just to take all of those ball carriers away. It's assignment football. If you're scheduled to tackle the fullback, you got to tackle it.
And a lot of guys, when you are practicing the wishbone or the option, had a bad snap right there on 4th down, that's going to give great field position to Bixby Red. A lot of coaches prefer to practice the option without a football at all. That way everybody adheres to their assignment and we're not chasing the football. So I don't know what Coach Allen did, but I know he put in some good last-minute practice right here for this Bulldog team.
Well, we're going to give you an opportunity when we get a little bit of a break, and we kind of do that now. We've got a timeout for them. Timeout Bulldogs, and we'll stay here for a second. So, Coach, I'll tell you, I've had you up here in the booth for the last couple years and haven't had a chance to throw a couple questions at you, but I've always wanted to ask this one. How do you feel like you can impact youth football with your knowledge?
Well, I think one of the biggest deals for me, and one of the things that I try to emphasize to our Bixby youth coaches, is that the number one thing is we want our kids to have a good experience when they come out and play youth football, because we want to retain as many kids as possible for the junior high, for the high school. And so I look at it as a feeder program, and I also want our kids to understand what it means to be disciplined and to be good sports. And sometimes that involves understanding how to win properly, and then sometimes, unfortunately, it involves learning how to lose and lose properly. So that's the biggest thing. And then also what we try to do is we try to impart just a little bit of knowledge on the coaches that like to come up and visit with us on some of our basic stuff. We think it helps our guys.
For the snap, we do have a false start on the offense, which will cost them 5. They come out of the timeout with great field position, as after the turnover, the Bixby Spartans had the ball at about the 19-yard line. That'll move them back to about the 24, and we'll go 1st and 10, or 1st and 15.
Yeah, and sometimes, man, it's so frustrating for offensive coordinators to get behind the chains like that with silly penalties. You know, just a little while ago, I was watching Bedlam, and Mike Gundy was very frustrated with some similar penalties with the false starts. And, you know, your play call sheet looks very different on 1st and 15 as opposed to 1st and 10.
So the Spartans will stay in their customary shotgun. They'll go back to Cord Nolan, and he's going to be hit right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, the TYAA Bulldogs getting some penetration right there, and I see Jay Oates, and again, that's a name that you're going to want to keep an eye on. He's just a familiar face and does a great job of getting penetration into that backfield. Another guy you're going to notice is their big nose guard, Kamuri Payne. He's just a physical presence. Not only is he big, he runs really well.
Direct snap this time will go to Nolan, and Nolan will try the right side of the line. He'll have some positive yardage back to about the original line of scrimmage, but it's going to bring up, I think they've already flipped the down marker, so it's going to bring up 3rd down and about 12.
Yeah, went back to that bread and butter that kind of got him that first score right there. The direct, not the direct snap, but the handoff, little sweep action right there to 34, Bowden Williams. He's a patient runner, as you mentioned, does a good job, and he's just been getting great blocking out of that right side of the offensive line the entire night. I tell you what, been impressed with Noah McCurley on that right side and some of the stuff that he's doing up front and some of his blocking.
You know, before this play can conclude, or actually before this play can get underway, the Spartans will take another timeout. So they've used 2 of their 3 timeouts already. But again, when you have this kind of field position, you're already up by 8 points. Sometimes it's very, very important to score if you can. So now that football is winding up, and you're looking for something else to do, check out INYouthLacrosse.com. It's the beginning of the spring. 2019 lacrosse season is here right now. So INYouthLacrosse.com. Hey, back to what we were talking about your input into youth football. I'm going to have to give you a little credit. It seems like you've built an entire culture here around quality football that maybe was missing a few years back.
Well, I can't speak necessarily to that, but I tell you what, we've got a lot of people out here in Bixby that are committed to doing it the right way, and that starts with our school administration all the way down to parents, assistant coaches, just people that, give a little extra. You know, our quarterback club president, Kevin Riddle, that a lot of people are familiar with, has just poured so much hard work into making this thing successful. And then you'll notice right there, Gabe Blankenship on the crossbuck action going over that left tackle again with another great run. And I think that's going to bring up a 4th down situation. Since they can kick, I wonder if they'd think about kicking a field goal here.
4th and 3, ball's right there at about the 6-yard line, so it's really not that far removed from what an extra point was, but Coach Allen says, I need 6 if I can get it. And they're going to jump in probably behind that big offensive line and go back to, as you said, Cord. Number 34 does indeed have it on the carry.
There it is. It's Bowden Williams, and it looks like it's going to be really close to the 1st down. I see the official measuring, and they're going to go ahead and call that a 1st down. So that's a huge pickup. Not only is the clock going to wind, okay, but they're inside the 3-yard line, and critical situation, and been moving the ball really well. So protect the football, don't have any silly penalties here, and you're going to be in the driver's seat for a championship.
So if Coach wants to, he could actually elect to let this run out, but he's going to go ahead and snap the football.
Looks like Bowden Williams came up just short there again. I tell you what, been running the dive play over the right side and the stretch play, just good blocking, getting good push, and everything gets a little bit more compressed right down here inside of the 5-yard line, and I think that's going to take us to quarter.
And Jay Oates was the reason why he didn't get in the end zone. Big number 98 was there to stuff it on the play, and that will do it for, as Coach talked about, that will do it for quarter number 1. We'll switch into the field and we'll roll to quarter number 2. So much as we thought, Coach, the Bixby team wants to come out and establish a run, and they've done that.
Yeah, in fact, I don't recall a pass being thrown, to be honest with you, Don. And, you know, sometimes you start to get up to these fifth grade levels and the guys can throw it around just a little bit. But, you know, if I'm Coach Allen and I'm ripping off 4, 5, 8 yards of whack running the football, I probably don't change too much.
And we'll be back right after this from Dick's Sporting Goods.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and sharing this time with the family here this afternoon.
Stay strong. See it to feel it. You want to finish? Go finish for him. Go finish for your grandfather right now. Yes, sir. Everybody with him?
Sir.
Welcome back, Don Rice and Coach Montgomery here for the second quarter of the TYAA Bixby Spartan game. And coming up next, we've got Grove, the Ridge Runners, taking on Sequoia Eagles. But in this ball game, we've got first and goal for the Bixby Spartans.
They made it look easy. Touchdown right there, Bowden Williams. Getting great push over the left side of that offensive line. I tell you what, the bigs were doing their thing right there, creasing that defense, and that's going to be a 2-score lead right there for the Spartans.
Well, and if they actually are able to convert the extra point via the kick like we talked about, Coach, it's more than a 2-point or a 2-score lead if the TYAA group cannot kick extra points, and they actually have a 3-score lead.
Yeah, absolutely. As we talked about, that's just such an advantage. It looks like that one's going to be blocked.
Just as we say that, the boys club says, and TYAA says, we don't need to worry about that. I'll block this one.
Yeah, and we talked about that just a little bit early, all the things that factor in, the timing, the kick, the snap, the hold, and you saw those things come into place. And even if you do those things right, sometimes those guys on the other side have something to say about it. So excellent job by Coach Washington's bunch there, blocking that up and keeping it a 2-score game.
And that's the advantage, too, of the 2-point conversion. You can actually miss one if you're able to kick them, and you're still up 2 touchdowns and 2 running extra points. We'll see the Bixby Spartans kick it off next as big number 35, or actually 34, will come out with the tee. I might have been right the first time.
And we got Jaquilin Jackson again back deep, it looks like, and also Micaiah Washington, the best ball handlers on the team right here. So let's see if they kick it deep again to those guys, and TYAA puts another nice return together.
So it's Kate Kaiser, number 6, who'll tee it up for the Spartans.
And there for a moment, I thought Jackson Allen was going to kick off, and they pulled the last-minute switch right there and went to Cord Nolan and hits the squibber right down the middle. And Jackson on the return, and then just got absolutely laid out right there by Cord Nolan. So, but TYAA got the ball right back to the 40-yard line, and so they're going to have decent field position to start this next drive.
You know, Cord right there, he put on a clinic as far as how you form tackle and did it with some authority.
Yeah, no physical, and you know, we mentioned in the pregame that he's one of the guys that the Bulldogs are going to have to be aware of. They're going to have to know where he's at all the time because he's just a football player. Loves to play, loves to hit, can run as fast, comes by naturally.
Back to the wishbone for the Bulldogs as they'll have the fullback and 2 running backs.
And Bixby Red electing to line up in somewhat of a 4-4 formation, kind of outflanking the Bulldogs, daring them to run into the middle. And a lot of times that's really what you have to do to contain some of these offenses that have so much speed. You have to bring those outside linebackers off the edge and force everything into the middle. And that's easy when you got a couple linebackers right here like Bixby Red does.
Caden Mclean in the backfield as well. He'll be joined back there by Micaiah Washington.
you know, two linebackers right there in the middle, right there, Braden Williams and Bowden Williams. I'm assuming they're brothers, doing a good job dominating the middle right there of the line of scrimmage and bringing up a challenging third down right here. You know, not quite to midfield. I don't know what Coach Washington would elect to do, so it's going to be important right here that they pick up some positive yards to make that decision just a little bit easier.
Well, the last time that he did elect to try the punt, remember we had a bad snap. I don't know if that'll factor into it, whether that was just a one-time oops or whether they've been having a little trouble punting throughout the season. But they're going to spread them out. They're going to jump out of the wishbone, go back to more traditional passing set, and put a man in motion through the formation. And now we've got another bad snap, but the quarterback is able to pick it up on the single bounce, but he got in trouble in a hurry.
Yeah, and it looks like Graham Knight made that play right there from his outside linebacker position, the bad snap, and he read it and was sure-footed, sure-handed, and a great open field tackle right there. Sometimes those quarterback scrambles can get a little hairy on busted plays.
Well, assignment football there, Coach, is the DN stayed upfield like he was supposed to. He didn't worry about the fact that it was a bad snap, and then the other guys were able to pursue up the middle and made the snap. Coach Washington, even at fourth down in the bunch, he's elected to go for it.
Yeah, and I think it's already getting to that point in the game. There's just not many possessions, and ooh, nice little reverse design. Got a lot of open field right here. But that defense rallied up pretty quick. That was Mekhi Washington right there on the reverse, and a good play design right there, but it's not going to be enough for a first down.
Well, Nolan definitely, as we talked about, he has the physicality to hit you, but he had some closing speed as well, because it looked as though Washington had the corner, and Nolan said,
Yeah, you'll notice him running sideline to sideline right there, and that's just so important right there for those linebackers to have good vision and read their keys. And something tells me that they knew reverse might be one of the things in the playbook. Looks like Blankenship there on a carry. I tell you what, it appears to me that with their cross-buck, two-back action, that when they're running to the right, it's going to be Williams, and when they run to the left, it's going to be Blankenship. But, you know, really, I don't know if they have a strong side or weak side of the offensive line, but it appears they've had a lot more success running behind that right side so far today. And let's see if that changes and if they run any counter action back over there to the left.
Well, you talked about it earlier. The bigs are doing a good job, and they're interchangeable on that offensive line because I see them switching sides of the ball every once in a while.
Yeah, a lot of teams do that to put their more powerful side on one ball, and a great cut right there by Williams on the inside zone play, just sticking his foot in the ground right there. Being tackled by a host of Bulldogs, and I think big number 50 was in on that tackle. We called his name already today, Corey Scott, and he's roaming the middle, and just a tough one to deal with right there.
Third down and about 5 for the Bixby offense. Slow snap, but the quarterback handles it nicely. He'll shake the first two tackles, and he's into the secondary, and I think he'll move the chains. First down, Spartans.
Yeah, it looks like a little wildcat action right there, and direct snapped it to Williams. And, you know, that's something that a lot of people are doing these days, and credit Coach Allen right there for getting the ball in his playmaker's hands. You know, a good coach always, at a critical situation, puts a ball in his athlete's hands.
So the the TYAA Bulldogs will take a timeout. Bixby comes over. They'll have a chance to talk about it. And one more touchdown here, Coach, and it's going to be a very, very steep uphill climb for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, because this is third possession right here for the Bixby Red group. And, you know, if they do it right, they could possibly chew off a lot of the time here in this half. And, you know, I don't know how many touches you'll get there in the second half, 3, possibly 4, but you got to take advantage of every one.
Well, coming up at halftime, we'll have a halftime presentation from the 5th grade Lady Spartan cheerleaders. We'll also go down on field side to Elise Wade. She'll have a word with both Coach Allen and Coach Coach Washington and Coach Allen. They'll give their perspectives of the first half and give us a little inkling of what may go on in the second half. And this is all brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. We had an opportunity to talk to Miss Carrie Sumter after one of the ball games. A little quick interview for her to talk about all the things that Dix does for youth sports in the INFC football area.
We started the day off with frigid temperatures today, Don, but it's actually turned into a really nice day with very little wind and just perfect for football.
Spartans will go out of the gun with a single back in the backfield. Quarterback, a little misdirection. He ends up keeping the football. They'll give him about 3 on the play, but he paid the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Big host of Bulldogs in there, led by Jay Oates, and we've called his name a lot. And it's funny how those good players keep getting their names called and they're always around the football. But he's a good one. Up inside, he's long, he runs well, and I see him around the ball every time. He's going to have a promising future, as he grows up and gets into junior high and high school.
The first time the Spartans have faced a negative situation.
And it looks like right there, looks like his numbers crinkled up. I couldn't tell if that was Jay Oates right there or Kamari Payne, but big hit right here from the defensive end position. And yeah, it was number 98, Jay Oates again. So dominant side right there. They probably understood that Bixby Red's been trying to attack that right side and having a lot of success running the football over that right side, so they put their best lineman right over there to see if they can shore up that edge. So let's see what the counter punch is.
Counter punch, we're going to try to throw our first pass of the afternoon, and he will not get it off.
And who else right there? Looks like Jay Oates once again from his defensive end position. Tried to sprint out to him, and that didn't work so well for Jackson Allen. So going to have to dial up another one here on 4th down, Coach Allen. Great defense right here by the Bulldogs. They probably understand the urgency of this situation.
Clock works inside at 2 minutes. And I'd be surprised to see a pass here because the Spartans probably don't want to stop the clock. And just as I say it, let's throw it. And it gets knocked away. Nice play out there on the edge by number 5 for the Bulldogs. That's Caden Mclean.
Yeah, Caden did a nice job right there of staying with coverage. Initially, looked like they had a little bit of space, but he did a nice job of running in phase and making sure he was hip to hip right there and not interfering when the ball was in the air. So gives the Bulldogs a chance. And one thing we know about this team that they have done traditionally all through the season is they've had the ability to strike quickly. So let's see what Coach Washington dials up.
They'll come back to their wishbone set, and they'll look to get to the edge and show some of that speed that Coach talked about.
Right there, run over the right side, and just a big hit inside. It looked like number 15, Isaiah Jones, had a nice hit from his linebacker position, or excuse me, safety position, but big time play right there. And I tell you what, those safeties, anytime you're in a full house backfield, double tight, running the wishbone, those safeties are no different than a defensive end or linebacker. They're up in the box, and they're forced to tackle. They're forced to make plays.
Connor Martin checks in for the Spartan defense, and the Bulldogs look over 2nd down. Going to call it 2nd down and 9. Movement up front, but the Spartans were able to stay out of the neutral zone, and now I think the offense actually moved, and they did.
Oh, wow. That's tough right there. It looks like the Spartans held up, and then, I don't know whether an offensive lineman picked his hand up. Didn't quite see what happened right there, but once again, puts him behind the chains, and just settle down right there, guys. You're going to be okay. You got a quick strike offense. You can score here at any time.
And if I recall correctly, well, no, in fact, I think it'll be the Spartans that'll get the ball to start the second half. I think the Spartans kicked it off, didn't they, Coach?
If I recall, you're right, Don. And so right here, this is kind of critical that maybe they shake somebody loose. They go with a little counter action right there to number 7. Kylan Jackson, and not much room there for him.
Now the Bixby coaches, they're the ones that actually elect to take a timeout, which again, I mean, that makes sense because if we're going to try to punt, kind of punting into a little bit of a wind, and we've also had a little bit of trouble with some snaps, if you will. So take every opportunity you can to try to go get some more points.
Yeah, and I think that'll probably talk Coach Washington into keeping it on the ground right there. That was Bixby Red's final timeout. And so it's going to put them in a situation that they, if they don't like the play that they get right here, don't have much success, they could probably just let the clock run out. So a little cat and mouse game right here in between the coaches with some clock management, and let's see what happens on this play. I imagine this play is really going to dictate what's going to happen here in these final 36 seconds of this half.
Well, again, coming up at halftime, it looks like we're going to have a halftime presentation from about half the fifth grade girls that go to Bixby. Don't know that I've ever seen a larger fifth grade cheerleading group, but we'll try to highlight each and every one of them at halftime.
Well, that's one good thing about the INFC, Don, is just so many people are involved, and it involves so many student athletes. And, one thing I know is that if the kids are hooked up and engaged, that they're going to perform better in school and they're going to be in less trouble. So, kudos to INFC for giving everybody this opportunity.
Well, cheerleaders are much more important now because I have a 7th grade granddaughter that's a cheerleader, and I've got a 6-year-old that's coming.
Yeah, I see those dads up in the stands all the time right there, and looks like the reverse play right there was kind of killed with a little bit of penetration up in the backfield. And
so the ball will go over on downs, 1st and 10 to the Bixby Spartans, and they'll use another timeout because in the INFC football, once they re-spot the ball, then they'll roll clock immediately.
I didn't realize right there that Coach Allen still had another timeout left. I thought he used both of them early in the first quarter there, but he just used one and went ahead and took it. And so they're going to force TYAA to make a decision right here. What do you think Coach Washington's going to elect to do right here? Do you think he's going to go ahead and put the ball in one of his playmakers' hands and see what happens, or is he going to try to punt this thing and play a little bit of keep away from Bixby?
Well, I guess I was looking at the down and distance wrong as well. I thought that play actually was 4th down, so I thought that's why they were using their timeouts. But if I'm Coach Washington, I don't know that I can punt here. I mean, I just don't know if, with the way we had trouble with the first snap, that is, I think I'm going to have to run a play.
Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and get in that wishbone formation and see if I can sneak somebody loose, because ultimately in a punting situation right here, you're probably not going to gain that much ground, and Bixby's only going to have an opportunity to run 1 or 2 plays by the time they get the ball. So it does look like they're going to line up in a punt formation, so let's see if they got any tricks up their sleeve right here. And we got a flag on the play right there. Looks like maybe somebody got a little anxious and moved early, so they're going to back them up another 5 yards. Looks like Bixby's got number 34, Bowden Williams, their talented running back deep right here to field this thing. So hopefully Coach is talking to these guys. Not only do we got to block it up so we can get the punt off, but also in these backed up situations you have to have great coverage because you are kicking to one of their best players on the team.
And now we also have to execute another good snap because that one was a good snap.
And good kick right down the middle, good coverage.
If they're coached up properly, I wouldn't touch it till the official makes me touch it. And absolutely is what the Bulldogs did, as they waited for the official to blow the whistle. That was big number 90 down to touch the kick down.
Right here, if Bixby hustles, they may be able to get 2 runs off, but Coach is going to have to call 2 plays in the huddle. If they throw it, they can probably get a couple plays off. So let's see what they do. They're lining up in a...
Well, it almost had a disaster right there because I don't know if that was part of the play or what, but Coach Allen had his arms up, and then one of his players raised his arms up.
Little trickeration right there by Coach Allen. Yeah, the quarterback didn't have the play, and direct snap to the tailback, but unfortunately they had a bad snap, and that's going to take us into halftime, Don.
We'll be back with more right after this from Diggs.
As a mother of 3, I've seen the positive impact sports have on kids. At Dick's Sporting Goods, we believe everyone should have the chance to play. And if cost ever gets in the way, that goes against everything we believe. If you find a lower price from a competitor, we'll match it with our best price guarantee. Because it's not enough to offer you the best gear. We need to offer it at the best price.
Welcome back to Lee Snyder Stadium. Down to the field for the 5th grade Lady Spartan cheerleaders. Thanks, ladies. A great halftime performance. We'll go down to Elise Wade with a coach's perspective.
Joining me now is Bixby coach Allen. Coach, what are we going to do going into the second half? You're up 14-0 right now. Are you going to sit tight, or are you going to keep pushing? What are you going to do?
We'll keep pushing. They're a good enough team that nothing's ever for sure till the double or the triple zeros at the end of the game. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're doing exactly what we've been coaching them to do all year, and they're executing. And so we're going to come back and probably do exactly the same thing we've been doing. So
this team has been to the championships for 4 years in a row. What have you guys been doing to prepare them, especially for some day like today?
We just try to teach technique and discipline. That's one thing we pride ourselves on is play hard every play, and that's something we don't really do anything crazy fancy, but we do preach attitude and effort, and it shows. So,
are the boys hyped right now?
Yeah, they are. They're pretty pumped, but we try to keep them under control a little bit, just because still got 2 quarters to play. So,
very smart. Well, good luck to you guys, and finish strong.
Thanks.
Thank you, Elise. We'll be back with more right after this from Dick's Sporting Goods.
It takes a lot. Down the line.
Good morning.
We're America's #1 sporting goods store, and we're always open. Every season starts at Dix.com.
Welcome back. Now back down to the field to Elise.
Joining me now is Coach Birmingham from TYAA. Coach, we've talked just a little bit. You have been with these boys since they were in 3rd grade. Talk to me about the growth that you've seen.
Yes, I've seen a lot of growth up and out, so we're going to pick it up about that, and everything is going to go well.
Let's talk about the growth during this game. We don't have any points on the board. What are y'all going to do in the next half to really get up there?
We made our adjustments, stick with the game plan, and I think we're going to do just fine. Just grind it out. It's going to be a tough game.
Tough game for sure. What are you all teaching your boys off the field, though, too?
Just life lessons and just growing, team unity, or brotherhood, just life lessons off the field and on.
Wonderful. It sounds like
Student athlete first.
Yes, sir. You have a great program. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Lee Snyder Stadium. Second half action, and I was not correct. The Bixby Spartans will kick it off, and back deep for the TYAA Bulldogs as the officials get set and ready to go.
We got Micah Washington and Ja'Kylan Jackson back deep again to handle this kickoff, and big Cord Nolan going to give it the old toe poke down the middle. That's a little bit more than a toe poke right there, and it looks like Ja'Kylan Jackson is going to go ahead and field that thing and got a nice wedge set up the middle. And then brought down by who else? Cord Nolan right there on the physical tackle. So not very often that you see a guy kick the ball deep and then run down and tackle the guy as well. So just a multifaceted athlete right there by Cord Nolan, and that's going to bring out the vaunted 4-4 defense right here for the Bixby Red Spartans.
You know, that was one of the more effective kickoffs that you can actually have because he got some depth with it, but not the roll to where you had to worry about it rolling into the end zone. And so now the TYAA team is backed up. They'll have the ball first and 10 at the 26-yard line, and they've got to score in a hurry.
Yeah, and handing off the dive right up the middle right there, picking up some positive yardage, about to squeeze loose. Tackled right there by number 15, Isaiah Jones. About the second time we've called his name right there, and they handed that one off to the fullback. I believe that was Sean King on the dive play right there, doing a good job weaving his way through there. That's the first time that we've called his name, and lots of athletes over there, lots of good players.
We talked about the ability for Mr. Oates to play defense right there on offense. He showed us he got the block on the edge and then got up to the second level and made a block on one of the linebackers as well. You see a little fire now for the TYAA team as they picked up some positive yards. The guys are slapping their thigh pads and ready to go. But just as I say that, we're going to back them up 5 is what a false start.
Got a little anxious there on that right side and had a little movement there, and so that's going to back them up another 5 yards and maybe negate all that work they did there on first down, and it's going to bring up a 2nd down and 10, Don.
Well, Richard and I talked in the opening, and some of the keys to all of these games, Coach, was avoiding not only turnovers but avoiding penalties as well, because it's hard when you get behind the chains because most of these offenses are geared for 3 and 4 yards and 5 yards. Every once in a while, of course, you'll break one, but consistently to have to pick up 2nd and 10 is tough for any offense.
Yeah, let alone a wishbone offense. You know, I know Air Force and Navy and those schools are making a living being so disciplined and not getting behind the chains. Little counter trap action right there. Ball on the ground, and Bixby recovers. So had a nice play set up right there on the counter action, but ball came loose right there, and it looks like Knight and Jones in on that. Fumble recovery right there for the Spartans.
Isaiah Jones came up out of the pile, and he was the most excited one. And as Coach pointed out, I believe it was Jones that actually got on the football. Let's watch it here again. Actually, no, it was Jones that got the strip. That's why he was excited as he played the technique like Coach laid it out for him. Is reach in and get the ball out.
Yeah, and knowing Coach Allen and those guys out of practice, they work that turnover circuit all the time and try to chainsaw that ball out of there. And coming back to the bread and butter right here, the Bowden Williams over the right side and just really grinding away on him. And I tell you what, that big offensive line taking a toll there.
Pinnock will make the tackle.
Jay Oates may have been shaken up on the play, and then we have another one out at about the 30-yard line. So we'll take a chance to talk about what comes up next as we've got the Grove Ridge Runners, I believe, taking on Sequoia in the 6th grade game. And in the 7th grade game, you'll be back with, and I hate to do this to you, but you'll work with Richard Stickney in the 7th grade game as we've got a Trojan Spartan shootout.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's going to be a dandy, and I know the Spartans are looking forward to getting back to this championship game. They came out last year and came up just a little bit short, and Coach McClure spent a lot of time this offseason. He's developed a O-line, D-line camp that we've had out here with all the INFC teams, had about 150 kids this offseason, and it was just a big deal, but he's always looking for that edge to improve that O-line, D-line play, and that's something we've done at the high school level here. And I've been involved with now going on about 16 or 17 years, the Eastern Oklahoma O-line, D-line camp. And it just is an opportunity for those big guys to fine-tune those skills, the intricacies of O-line, D-line play. And who better than Bruce McClure, the Bixby 7th grade coach.
As we come back to live action, the Spartans will put 2 in the backfield. They've got it 1st and 10, and they go direct snap to the big boy.
Yeah, good-looking play right there up inside, and and pounding the rock, running it up inside, and looks like we got a good lead block. I can't tell if that's Kate Kaiser right there. It looks like number 6 up in the middle. Good play design. Got a couple guys pulling and lead blocking there for Bowden Williams.
Well, now that we've got the lights turned on at the stadium, Coach, one of the things that'll do for us is it'll clear some of the shadows up on our monitor. So I know it's hard for me to get used to having a TV in the booth, but now we'll be able to watch it with a little bit clearer picture. Nice play on the edge by the Bulldog defensive end, maybe one of the down tackles.
Yeah, and they've been hitting the sweep play over the right side so consistently. They're starting to come back now, and you'll see the counter action play right there with Kate Kaiser pulling up over the left side. So mixing up some of the play calling, and got an important one here with about a 3rd down and 2, 3rd down and 3 ahead of them.
The last tackle may be turned in by Bruce there for the boys club, and it's 3rd down 3. As the clock works inside of 4:40 in quarter number 3.
Right up the middle.
Went back to that wildcat action with Bowden Williams, the direct snap right there, and he was brought down in the middle by, it looks like, big 98, Jay Oates again, number 99, Kamari Payne. Just that Corey Scott up inside that front line is just so physical. They've really hunkered down here. You got a 4th down and 2. Let's see if they can hold right here, because the game could depend on it.
One more time, they'll go with the direct snap. Quarterback on the keeper, and I don't believe he's going to get enough to move the chains. I think the ball is going to go over 1st and 10 to the boys club. Well, the officials are saying, hey, let's get everybody away. Give us a chance to take a look at it. We might even bring the chains in and measure.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to get a replay of that, but from my perspective, breakdown of blocking scheme, they failed to block number 50, Corey Scott, right there, and that's one big fellow you better block inside.
Well, as you probably heard the public address announcer here, Seth Watkins, say, we were actually correct, Coach. The ball goes over 1st and 10 to the TYAA Bulldogs, the ball at the 10-yard line, and now you have to be careful. You can't make mistakes down deep like this, and the Bulldogs, you know, as much as we've kind of talked about the fact that Bixby's dominated them, they're one big play away from jumping right back in this thing.
Yeah, you know, if I'm Coach Washington, I'm just telling the guys, hey, settle down, do what we do. You know, get one score at a time, and anybody could break loose at any time. Sustain those blocks. And just physical defense in there. There's just not much running room right there. Bixby shifted over to a 3-man or 5-man front, I guess, in youth football, but with a head-up nose guard and doing a good job up inside, getting good push. I believe that was big number 31, Asher Jolly, up in the middle, and just a big physical guy. And I tell you what, Asher's done a good job. We see him every year at our youth camps. We see him at SPA, and you see it just paying off right here in early November.
So the Bulldogs will come back to the line of scrimmage. They'll sit there and look at 2nd down. It's 2nd down, about 9. Ball still around the 10-yard line. They'll stay in the wishbone set, and they'll put receivers to both sides. First pass, it's completed in the flat and then dropped. Now, is that a lateral? They're going to call it an incomplete pass, and I think that's the right call.
Yeah, right there. You know, those bubble screens and those flare passes, so hard to tell right there. But, you know, as a defensive coach, you're always wanting to coach your guys to scoop and score and pick those things up, because you never know. In fact, that one right there is pretty close. I mean, it could have been a backwards pass. So heads-up play right there by Graham Knight, going ahead and picking that thing up, because you never know. We actually had one returned on us earlier in the year down at Ponca City that was real close, like right there, that our wide receivers didn't jump on, and they were able to scoop and score, get their only score of the night.
3rd down.
Big down right here, and I know Coach Washington's not real excited about the 3rd down and 10, and they dropped back to throw one, but I tell you what, we're hit right as we dropped back to throw, and
that's Asher Jolly again, I believe, Coach. They got back there, and he got back there in a hurry. So it's going to bring up 4th down, And the Bulldogs are pinned back deep, so even if you get off a nice punt here, the Spartans are going to have great field position after the punt. And we still have to worry about the snap.
Yeah, and the pass right there, as a reminder, stops the clock, so they get a little bit of reprieve, but they've absolutely got to convert right here. Well, they're lined up in punt formation right here, so let's see if there's any trickeration or anything like that we should expect.
They'll run it away.
Good snap, good kick. They're going to let it roll out. Pick it up, hand it to that official, and Bixby's going to take over on offense.
We'll see where they spot the football.
32-yard line.
Ball will be actually spotted about the 32-yard line. 1st and 10 Spartans. With 2:38 left in quarter number 3, and coming up next, we'll have a Grove Ridge Runner and Sequoia Shootout. It's the Eagles and the Ridge Runners. And I had an opportunity to watch the Grove team play in one of the games earlier over in Broken Arrow, and Coach, they'll sling it around the yard just a little bit. They've got a quarterback that's mobile. He's a big boy who likes to throw and run.
Yeah, I always enjoy watching these older teams as you start to get up here because they're a little bit more creative on offense and throw the ball just a little bit more, which is always kind of nice after watching the younger grades where it's more of a ground and pound attack.
Jackson Allen,
which I also like too, by the way, Don, being an old offensive line guy.
Jackson Allen called his own number on that play. Now he'll come over to the sidelines to get the play from his dad. And Richard and I talked about it earlier, Coach. I'm a defensive guy. In fact, I'm not happy with where football's gone anymore. I think it's more like 7-on-7 on air than it is man-on-man football, and I'd kind of like to have two different leagues.
Jackson Allen.
And Allen right there calls his own number again on the zone read. He sees that end collapse and pulls it. The speed of TYAA able to string him out right there, as you'll see.
Anthony Chaplin turned him inside first, and then number 7 will join the party. That's Jackson for the tackle.
I'll tell you what, Chaplin did a really good job on that play right there, tempoing. And it looks like we might have a sideline warning right here. I don't know if they got guys that have crossed the coach's box or if there's been a little chatter, but definitely got to settle down there on the sideline.
Well, apparently that was their second warning because they went ahead and marked it off. So that one cost them 5, and that also cost them a first down.
And the clock continues to run. So
Jones will split to the far side for the Spartans. Allen will hand it off one more time. That's Williams on the carry, but that's bottled up right at the line of scrimmage.
Big number 50, Corey Scott, from his defensive line position. Called his number a bunch of times today. He's doing a good job up inside, running the football, sure tackling.
Well, the Spartans, as we talked about, Coach, I mean, they're objective now. They not obviously you always want to go score, but right now they're just happy to run clock because we're 25 seconds away from advancing into the fourth quarter.
There, Williams stretches it to the sidelines, but that's not where you're gonna make a living on this defense right there. And it looks like number 1, Sean King, there on the tackle, running the field, making a great open field tackle on Williams, which is not easy, by the way.
Well, we talked a little bit a while ago about Williams' closing speed. The Bulldog defensive back showed that he had some closing speed as well because he came from the opposite side of the field to make the tackle.
Yeah, you know, they've looks like they've kind of figured out that stretch over the right side. They've moved big number 98, Jay Oates, over on that side and forcing him to run to the left side right here. And once again, they're bottling them up. So really turning into a struggle right here that you might like this second half, a little bit of a defensive struggle.
That'll do it for the third quarter as the clock hits all zeros, and we've got just 8 minutes left to decide who's going to be the 5th grade INFC champion. We'll be back with more football right after this from Diggs.
Football fans, who's ready for the fourth?
As a mother of 3, I've seen the positive impact sports have on kids. At Dick's Sporting Goods, we believe everyone should have the chance to play. And if cost ever gets in the way, that goes against everything we believe. If you find a lower price from a competitor, we'll match it with our best price guarantee. Because it's not enough to offer you the best gear. We need to offer it at the best price.
Grade championship showdown between the TYAA Bulldogs and the Bixby Spartans. The Spartans have it, but they'll look at a 4th down, and the ball rests at about the 20-yard line, as we talked about. 8 minutes, and we'll crown a 5th grade champion. The Spartans will go out of the shotgun and put 3 in the backfield.
Little naked bootleg action right here with Jackson Allen, and he finds a comeback right out over the edge. But an excellent play right there by number 7. Jackson, he does a great job from his safety position coming over and ripping that ball out. So well executed play right there by the Spartans, but just better defense right there by Jackson coming across and punching that ball out on the defensive back.
You know, he's open early, Coach. That's one as they say, if the quarterback maybe could have thrown him open a little bit there quicker, might have came up with the completion, but then I think they might have struggled to get the necessary yardage to make the first down.
Yeah, and sometimes that's tough on those bootlegs. Those quarterbacks really got to work to get their shoulders squared away, and it just takes a little bit longer to develop. And so by the time they did, TYAA was able to close on the play action.
Now the Bulldogs will come out of their traditional wishbone set, and they'll set up in a shotgun set.
And that was number 3 right there, Washington, on the carry, and he does a good job weaving his way up through there. For a second, I thought he was going to break loose, but just a gang tackle onto the Spartans continues to impress me.
Good work up front by the O-lineman for the Bulldogs, as no one touched Jackson until he got deep into the secondary. 2nd down and a very manageable 5.
Right here, the Bulldogs are going to have to think about a big play and an onside kick, and then let's see what happens. So right here, just continue to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. Hopefully they can break one loose here real quick and then recover an onside kick. Right there for a second, I thought that was going to be the big play they were looking for. Over the edge right there to number 7. You know what? I could be wrong right there, Don. Those numbers are hard to read. It could have been Kai Adams over the right-hand side.
Washington on the carry.
And it sounds like if the PA announcer's right, that was Michael Washington. But he did a good job getting over that right side, sticking his foot in the ground and getting vertical, picks up the first down. But they're going to need a little bit more than that.
Well, the Bulldogs showed a little motion through the formation, which maybe showed the Spartans a look that they haven't seen, and that's 2 straight plays in a row, and that's probably the 2 most successful plays that the Bulldogs have pulled off this half, and Coach wants to talk about it a bit, so he'll call timeout, rally the troops, and he may be talking exactly about what you were just alluding to, Coach, is those 2 plays were nice, but we got to get some chunk yardage here too.
Yeah, and I think the key to that, they don't have to draw up anything crazy here on this timeout. They just have to continue to pound the ball and block down the field, and one of those could break.
Coming up next, it is the Grove Ridge Runners in the 6th grade taking on the Sequoia Eagles, and then we'll close out the night with Richard Stickney and Coach Montgomery, Mike Side, to do the 7th grade Jeep Trojan and Bixby Spartan shootout. And Coach talked about how he likes to watch the bigger kids play because they throw it around a little bit more. I'm actually going to hang around and do something I don't know that I've ever done before. I'm going to just sit back and actually watch an INFC championship ball game.
Yeah, in these 7th grade games, usually 6th and 7th grade games, and even this 5th grade game, begin to get a little bit heated and emotional, and just really good football that you see at this level. And these guys are out here making memories that you hear them talking about when they get up to me in high school, you'll hear them talking about that 7th grade red championship or whatever their teams, and so it's always fun.
In and out of the hands of the receiver, and one of the Spartans had his eyes set on the deflection. It's Kay Blankenship came up to play the pass nicely, but once the ball got popped in the air, I think that young man was hunting 6 as well, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Right there, that's close to another one of those backwards pass right there on the bubble screen or the flare pass, and so it was tipped and close to a pick 6. So let's see what they dial up here on 2nd down. And they've switched their offense up just a little bit, as you see right here. They've been the traditional wishbone ground and pound team, but they're electing to spread out and go a little bit of fly sweep stuff and do some quarterback runs. So switching some things up in hopes of getting a crease here on this vaunted Bixby Red defense.
Well, the quarterback there actually made a heck of a play before he even got a chance to run it, because the snap was high. He had to pull it down, and you know when the snap's not correct, that gives the D-line a little extra opportunity to get in there for you. So he made the first guy miss, but it was a nice play just corralling the snap from center.
Coming back here with the 2-back formation. Gosh, what a great tackle right there. That was number 15.
That's Jones.
Isaiah Jones. Called his name a lot. But I tell you what, man, he collapsed, ran the hill line of the offense, and just made a great open field tackle right there. So some really good defense right there by the Bixby Red defense, and it's going to bring up a make or break 4th down right here for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, as the clock works inside of 5 minutes, as Coach talked about, it's very, very important that the Bulldogs move the chains and get some points before this one gets away from them.
Yeah, one thing to note, too, the Bixby Red Spartans are missing one of their key players. He had a little appendicitis earlier in the year, and in Maverick Nance, and they're missing him. But I tell you what, it doesn't look like that defense has really missed a beat.
Coach, how do you have a little appendicitis surgery?
That's true.
Isn't that a major surgery?
Yeah, it is major surgery, especially for a youngster like that. And he's recovered, but he had to forgo the rest of his season this year. And they're hoping to get him back in full go next year. And right there, Bowden Williams from corner position, I tell you what, made a great job, as you see there, breaking on that comeback and turned the ball over. And right here, I bet Coach Allen's hoping to run down a little bit of clock and get his back-to-back championships.
Well, it's hard enough to get one, Coach, in the INFC, but when you can stack 2 on top of each other as a 5th grade coach, now he's got to be thinking about what happens past this point. But you're exactly right. He just wants the tick, tick, tick of the clock. That was a great play there by, and again, it's so hard to see with that was number 30 for the Bulldogs.
I feel like winning an INFC championship is similar as far as the number of schools that are playing in this thing to like a Texas State championship, where you have hundreds of teams and divisions from all over the state. Here, even going over to the west side of the state, you mentioned Grove and Pryor and some of the schools that have been in this thing. And so really what you're talking about is a state championship when you're talking about an INFC championship. They've got to weave their way through some pretty big brackets.
Down inside the 20, still on his feet, and a heads-up play as he will not let them throw him out of bounds. So the clock will stop just long enough to reset the chains, and that's a heady play for a 5th grader, Coach.
Yeah, hats off right there to Bowden Williams. I tell you what, he's smart, and hats off to the coaching staff, Coach Blankenship and Coach Allen down there, in their players' ears about staying in bounds, working the clock, and you see them waiting until they blow the play clock live here to call the next play. So time management is so critical in these situations, and then especially when you're dealing with nerves.
You would have been proud of the 2nd graders, the 2nd grade broken area team. They actually did that too as it got late in the ball game. As they did exactly what the quarterback Allen's doing. They looked at the sidelines till they found out when the coach wanted him to snap it. He'll cut back inside again. He's not hunting sidelines.
No, I tell you what, and that's been their bread and butter the entire game. They got the little stretch play over the right side and a little pin and pull action with a couple of those linemen leading in through there, and it's just been quite the go-to. Hats off to that big offensive line. Been seeing a lot of good blocks, and Cade Kaiser, a good little puller right there. You'll notice him getting out and lead blocking.
Tackle on the last play for the Bulldogs was Shannon Lee as he came down hard on the play to make the stop. And it's 2nd down 5.
Good block right there, old Asher Jolly. We've called his name on defense a couple times, but he's at right tackle and then gets nestled in there with Cade Kaiser and gets a good push so they can pick up those tough yardage.
Corey Scott, number 50, also in there on the tackles. He's the one that actually lowered his head and brought down
2 minutes, 30 seconds right here. And Coach Allen's going to chew up every second of that game.
You've been in the position in the 6A high school championship ball games before, Coach. When it gets to this part, you can just almost taste it, can't you?
Yeah, and as a coach, you just can't relax until the last second ticks off that clock, no matter what the score is.
Really?
Quarterback draw.
I've always kind of wondered that, Coach, because like right now we're up 14, so you're not relaxed yet?
Well, if I'm Coach Allen right there, no, I'm not relaxed at all. Because you put the ball on the ground, they scoop and score, kick it one side, and right back, it's a tie ball game. And so you're always thinking that way, even though it's highly improbable. But you're constantly coaching, protect the football. Let's work every second of this clock that you possibly can.
The clock works inside at 1:35, and it's 2nd and goal. And they worked it all the way down to where the official was actually starting to count. Hey, give credit to the TYAA Bulldogs as they'll make the stand right there at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play.
3rd down and goal.
Jackson Allen there calling his own number up inside right there, but I tell you what, that stout defense with Corey Scott and Jay Oates and the boys up inside, they've got a little something to say about that. They're not going gently into this good night.
Oh, not at all. And most of the yards that the Spartans have picked up today has kind of been from the tackles outside rather than inside. So the big boys from the Bulldogs, they can hold their heads high because they've protected their real estate. There's been some things on the edge and off the tackles that have got away from them, but now Coach Allen again is letting every second. In fact, they may even take a too much time penalty. No, in fact, he'll just take the timeout.
Yeah, smart move right there, using up every second. And I think what they could possibly get away with right here on this 3rd down call, they could possibly get away with one run or even taking a knee, and then the officials aren't going to get the clock blown before 25 seconds. But TYAA may have a couple timeouts left in their back pocket. So we'll see what we're going to do. If I'm Coach Allen right here, I'm going to go ahead and call the pin and pull play over the right side behind Jolly and Kaiser and hand the ball off to Bowden Williams and see if we can go ahead and get another score.
We know Elise Wade will be coming up after the ball game. She'll talk to Coach Allen about what took place here today, and also Coach Williams across the way. Both coaches, I believe, actually talk after the ball game. And then coming up after this ball game, Richard Stickney will make his way back up here, and we'll have the 6th grade shootout between the Ridge Runners and the Sequoia Eagles. With 36 seconds left, the Spartans are back in the wishbone. And that's the big boy, and he'll dive and he'll get there. Touchdown Spartans.
The old Wildcat package comes back out right there, and that's Williams right there with a direct snap, and he goes up and over right there for the touchdown. You'll see him right here. Excellent job getting into the zone, and that'll ice it right there for the back-to-back champions for Bixby Red.
So you can relax now if you're the coach.
I'm probably starting to relax now because I see it's completely out of reach. But I tell you what, I'm pretty uptight as it is, and I've been watching Coach Allen down there, and he still looks a bit uptight. He's still down there coaching.
Well, I just know when I play Madden, when I'm up by 14 with a minute left, I can't relax either, and that's about as close as I get to making decisions on a football field anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you sound like my son. I tell you what, those kids these days, between Madden and Fortnite, I tell you what, they're always on the video games.
Well, real quick Fortnite story. I umpire baseball, and I like to talk. So I was talking to the shortstop, and I was saying, hey, one more couple runs here, and finish this ball game off. And he goes, no, I don't want it. I said, what do you mean you don't want it? He said, well, the championship's at 7:30. He said, I'm supposed to raid with my Fortnite group, but I just turned and jogged back behind first base because I knew he wasn't going to want to hear what I was going to have to say with that. And I did respect him enough that I didn't go tell his coach that your shortstop would rather be home pushing his thumbs and swinging a baseball bat, but that's
lots of things to keep these kids interested today, which is why I'm so proud of these coaches that are taking time, each evening out of their schedules to coach these kids up and teach them the fundamentals and keep them interested in football, because life lessons are taught through football, not Fortnite.
The Bulldogs on the return. I'll have to sit down here so I can see the monitor to find out who actually has the football. Number 5.
McClellan will return it to the Bulldogs, 36.
That's number 5, Caden McClellan, right there, out off the right-hand side with a nice little return right here. And I tell you what, the Bulldogs right here are wanting to get on the scoreboard. They're not wanting to get blanked here by this Bixby defense, and so they're going to try to dial up a couple of good plays in these last 23 seconds and see if they can get on the scoreboard.
Well, and they actually will wind the clock as soon as they put it down, so we might only have time for one more play unless Coach Washington wants to call a timeout. Clock works inside of 10, so this is going to do it, barring a incompletion, which would stop the clock. They'll set in the eye, and that'll do it. The ball game will come to a close.
I haven't heard a whistle from the officials, so they're going to go ahead and let them run this one, it appears. I don't know right there if number 11 is going to have enough juice to get out of bounds, Gregory Nash, but it was a good effort right there. And that'll do it, Don. A championship for the Bixby Red Spartans back-to-back.
Well, the Bixby Red Spartans, as Coach mentioned, will go back-to-back. And coming up next, as the Bixby cheerleaders head to the field, coming up next, we'll have a 6th grade shootout between the Grove Ridge Runners and the Sequoia Eagles, as the teams make it through the line to shake hands with each other. We wait to find out from the control room what we're going to do next. I don't know if we're going to take a break or whether we're going to go down field to Elise Wade, but we can recap a little bit about what we've seen so far as the Broken Arrow 2nd graders came up with a win, and that's the first time I've had the pleasure to call a 2nd grade team actually win an INFC championship in the 26 years I've been doing this, believe it or not.
No, it's exciting. It's fun to watch those guys and fun to see them become immersed in football, and I just hope all the guys that are starting at that age are having a great experience and enjoying their time and continue to stay out all the way through their high school career.
Game will be in 9 minutes.
So apparently they're getting ready. As you can hear him on the PA system, they'll get ready for the weigh-in for the next ball game. But what comes our way next is handing out the trophy for the 5th grade Bixby Spartans. It's a really nice, it's not gold, but it's a really nice silver glass-like football. It's almost replica of the Big 12 ball that you see highlighted and on commercials when they talking about the Big 12 championship and even the FCS championship showdown games.
Yes, I bet Coach Allen's wife loves it that they've got their mantle starting to become covered with INFC championship trophies in there. I'm sure that goes with her decor, but no, in all reality, it's a special thing for these guys to hoist this trophy. And football season starts all the way back at the beginning of August and continues now into November, so these boys have put in a lot of work.
Back down to the field, to Elise Wade.
Your boys look pretty excited. Tell me, what does this win mean to you guys?
It means a lot. We expect a lot out of these boys, and we just expect a lot, and they respond to it well. And I'm just so proud of them. All that hard work all year has paid off for them.
What do you think we can see in the near future for this group of kids?
Well, we're hoping the same thing here on out. We've just got it's a special group. It really is, just all the way around. we can just keep them in it. And, man, I'm looking forward to the years to come.
They are clearly ready to celebrate. Congratulations. Enjoy your win.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, baby.
Coming up next, the Sequoia Eagles will take on the Grove Ridge Runners in the 6th grade. INFC Championship Showdown. Ridge Runners and Eagles coming up next. And we'll be back with that football game right after this from Dick's Sporting Goods.